All right, here we are. We're back. This is Kevin McCain with Idaho Art Classes and Kevin McCain Studios. We're going to go over just some of the basic ideas of perspective. So we're going to be using a T-square, drafting, triangle, and a couple pencils. We're going to first talk about one-point perspective. So if I'm dealing with one-point perspective, I'm going to have, always we start with a horizon line. So we're going to have a horizon line here. We're going to have our one-point vanishing point. We can put it just about anywhere. As you get more used to dealing with perspective, you understand how to place it better. But this right here will be our one-point vanishing point. Right there. I don't need to make a point, but that's just to make it clear what we're doing here. And when we're doing one-point perspective, everything is going to come from that vanishing point. So say we have a plane, and this plane comes from, from this vanishing point, coming forward, like so. And I have other videos that talk a little bit about one-point perspective, but let's just go ahead and let's make a sort of a tower. So we'll go ahead and kind of like with little different floors or what have you. This would be the first floor. This could be a see-through building. Remember, with one point, you either have true horizontals, true verticals, or a diagonal going to the vanishing point. Now I could tip my camera, so these all of a sudden that vertical, if we did that, would be, like this. It's just to make sure that if we're doing that, that the line, this line and that line are always 90 degrees, even though they're no longer at that point truly vertical or truly horizontal, but they still have a 90-degree relationship. All right, so this will be my building coming up here. And so we've got the front walls, we've got the back walls. And let's extend those up just a bit. So like so, and like so. All right, so let's say we had a floor right here, and we're going to see that if we do this, the floor is going to compress. It's going to be more in perspective. So this would go from here to the vanishing point, from here to the vanishing point, to where it connects there. Bring that across. And this is now the next floor. And see how this one, we can see more of it because it's further from our eye line, right? And this we can see less of it because it's closer to the eye line. And in fact, these two edges get closer until on the eye line they're just a straight line. We're going to come up here for another floor, and I could take a measurement, and to try to make sure that these are the same distance. I'm not going to worry that much about this for right now. We're going to come up about this much above the horizon line. Now we're going to be seeing the underside of that floor. If this again was like some sort of little building or something where everything was made out of plexiglass so we could see through it, we'd be able to see the underside the underside of this, so this is the top. So we're seeing the top of this one, and then we're seeing the underside of that one, because this is now above our eye. Remember, this is the eye line, so this is where our eye would be. That's what as long as we're looking forward, that's what this horizon line represents, is our eye looking out. Someone's got really long eyelashes, but this is the eye looking out here. That's, you know, so if it's above our eye, we're going to be seeing the bottom. If it's below it, we're seeing the top. All right, so we'll come up here one more time, and again, as this gets higher above the eye line, we're then going to be able to see more and more of the underside. So if I took this here, and it's good to remember that this is the same distance. This little plane here is the same dimension. It's just we're seeing different views of it in space. So maybe we'll go ahead and make the front edge a little darker. Keep that in mind, that this is our front edge of that plane, and this is the front edge of this plane, and this is the front edge of that plane, front edge of this plane. So in 1 point perspective, we always have a true 90-degree angle. In this case, we have a true horizontal and a true vertical, and then one diagonal. There's always only one diagonal in 1 point perspective. Okay. Now, if we did this again, where we had, for some reason, let's say we had this tilted, as if we tilted our camera. Well, if that's the case, these will still have a 90-degree angle. So these are still 90 degrees, and then this would still be going to a horizon line with one vanishing point on it. And the horizon line, the whole thing tilts. And so remember that this line here, now we said, well, if it was straight, it's horizontal. But if we do this, just remember that all these lines are parallel to the horizon line. And then we have a line that's 90 degrees to that. And then we have, for the line going away from us, that means 90 degrees. The line going away from us, that's going to the vanishing point. All right? So that right there is our 1 point perspective. So this is just 1 point. Forgive the terrible penmanship. I can draw, but I can't write very well. But this over here is 1 point. Right there. Okay, so we have a horizon line with 1 point, and this is our vanishing point back here. I guess I didn't draw all the lines back to it like I did this one, but all these lines would come back to this one vanishing point. You know, down here, that's all these lines would be going to that same vanishing point down here. Okay, so there's our vanishing point. All right, we're gonna come back and do some 2 point. All right, so we're gonna talk just real quick, one more thing about 1 point perspective that's really important, and that is that and this is in 1 point perspective, and in 2 point as well, but in 1 point especially, if we have ellipses, so this is an old ellipse template. This is what you used to use when everything was drafted by hand, before you had, you know, different programs and stuff, vector programs and things. But the idea is that if I have, the closer an ellipse gets, just like this plane gets smaller, you know, this plane gets smaller as it comes closer to the horizon line, so do the ellipses. And the further that this ellipse is above my eye, the more open the ellipse gets. And it's the same thing going down and away from my eye. So it does the same thing as it gets further away from my eye, that the ellipse gets wider. So if I'm drawing like a bottle or a vase or something, and the vase or the vase or whatever we're calling it is this close to my eye line, at the top we're going to have an ellipse like this that's closer to the eye line, so it's going to be thinner, whereas at the bottom that's further away from me, it's going to be wider open. And if I have a bottle that splits, like let's say the bottle was this tall, well with this one I'd only be seeing the front side of the ellipse. I'd be seeing, you know, this front of it. The other half would be behind it. But again, I'd have, if this is closer to the eye line, if this is closer to my eye line than the bottom, which is down here, again, the ellipses are going to be slightly different. And with 1 point perspective, and this only happens with 1 point, it also, the center vision becomes really important. So we got right through where the 1 point vanishing point is. That is also what we call the center vision. Okay, the center of vision is a true vertical line that goes through the middle of our eye. You know, like at the back of our cornea, this would be the horizon line would be a true horizontal line going through our eye, and then the center vision would be a true vertical line going through the middle of our eye. And from this point we'd actually have coming out the line of sight, but we're not talking about that today. But an interesting thing about the center of vision, again this is called the center of vision. So let's see, center of vision. So again, it's called the center of vision. This is the true vertical through the middle of our eye. The horizon line is a true horizontal line going through the middle of our is a true horizontal line going through the middle of our eye. If I can talk today, but the center vision, the same thing that happens here with the horizon line with ellipses, the same thing happens to ellipses that get close to the center vision. So, and boxes too. If we have a box that lines on this line, both edges come together to form a straight line. So it becomes very strange. And it's the same thing. Any ellipse lying or touching that line becomes just a straight line. It's not an ellipse. But if we have an ellipse that goes, ellipses as they come off of the center vision, as they get further away from it, they're going to get more open. And the same thing would be happening over here. As if it touches that line, it would be a straight line. But as it goes to the right of it, you'll start to have your ellipses will start to open up. Okay, and this is really important to at least understand this. So if I had a pop can that I was drawing and it touched the center vision, over here it would be a flat line if it's touching there, and then, you know, over here it would be an ellipse, which of course would look weird if I had, you know, this can that came over here, you know, and touched right on that center vision. And so you want to track that. You want to track your center vision. It's about understanding more what you see. And again, if I had something that gets cut off, even though that's correct, that's going to look weird. And again, if these were lines on this can, we wouldn't see the back side. These would be going around the other side, right? So again, this would be that can. This would be the can if it touched the center vision. Looks weird. So if we ever have that, we either need to move the can away from the center vision so that we get at least a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of an ellipse. This would be a very, very tight sort of an ellipse. But, you know, it'd be getting tighter and tighter and tighter until it gets right onto that line. It'd become a, again, a straight line. We don't want that. That's always going to be flat, no matter how you shade it, no matter what you do with it. So if I pull it off a little bit, well, that's fine. That at least goes, okay, that's an ellipse. And, you know, so this is be the front side. This would be the back side. The one that's further away or further to the left is going to be the ellipse that's the most open. So we need to understand that. Now, the other thing we do is we could push this further past the center of vision, so we could bring it, you know, all the way over to here, and to connect, so we could connect these. Fortunately, I didn't put these in line, so they're a little off, but hopefully you can get the idea. Maybe I'll just open this up a little bit. But the idea is that if we came over here again, if it's to the right and left of the center of vision, we're going to have an ellipse on this side that opens up this way, but this is further to the left, so this would be, you know, if we look through that ellipse, be open even more. And we need to understand that, otherwise it won't look right when we draw this. So again, that's something about the center of vision that we want to keep in mind as we are, you know, drawing our ellipses. And again, if this had stripes or rings on it for some reason, again, these ellipses, these rings and stripes are going to get slightly less curved. And if there was a ring right on here, it would be perfectly straight. Oh, that's right. We wouldn't see the back of this one, right? Because this is rounding out this direction. This would be rounding out that direction. So on this, we'd have both the right and left side would be both to the right and left of the center line. So we wouldn't see the back. So we wouldn't see the back of that one, nor would we see the back of that one. So what we'd get is a round. This is also kind of strange. So again, you might go, I'm going to change this object, but it would be correct. If we had a barrel that bridges that center vision, you wouldn't see the top, nor would you see the bottom. So all you'd be seeing is this sort of the rounding of this pushing out and the rounding of this pushing out, and that's all you'd see on that barrel or can or whatever this is, pipe or what have you, cylinder. But that's important to understand about that center vision. It's very important. So we're going to come back and we're going to do just a little bit with two-point perspective. All right. All right, so we're back. We're going to be doing two-point. Now, with two-point perspective, we still have the horizon line, right? This horizon line is our eye line. So this is, as long as you're looking fairly straightforward, even if you're a little bit down, a little bit up, this horizon line equals your eye level, or how high are your eyes off the ground. 5 feet, 10 feet, 3 feet, you know, what are you doing? Laying in the grass with your head sort of, you know, looking out towards a horizon line? Well, then maybe, you know, 4.5 inches. But anyway, so we're going to be doing our two-point perspective here with our right and left vanishing points. And so we're going to start off by go ahead and creating, again, it's just so we're going to have our lines going down and to the right. Or not down to the right, but up and to the right. It's like so. And then we're going to have some lines going down, up and to the left. Again, we're going to make a little building just like we did last time of sorts, or a little block, or what's that old game? There was a game where you pulled out the little pieces, you made like a little tower, like a box, sort of a tower, and you had to pull the little pieces, and if the pieces fell out, the tower fell down, you were out, and all that good stuff. Fun game. But again, so we've got these are going over to the left vanishing point. These over here are going to the right vanishing point, and go ahead and we'll use that. Why not? So this is the 4 points of this particular building. It's not a square building. It's, you know, very much rectangular. Okay. So with the 2-point perspective, you have it either going to the left or you have things going to the right. Because there's only 3 sets of lines. Whenever we've got a box, there's 3 sets of lines. Height, width, and depth. So it either goes to the right, or it goes to the left, or it goes vertically. So we're going to go ahead and raise up the sides of this box. Like so. Probably should have thought about putting that little pointy arrow before I should have thought a little bit more before I placed that, but oh well. Maybe we'll bring this down. Maybe this isn't the ground floor. Maybe we'll bring this down a little bit. There we go. So let's see. So we can bring this down a little bit, and then bring it up a little bit. Bring this up a little bit. Oh, and bring it down a little bit too. It's going to bring it down a little bit. Now, we don't want to get too lost in this, and we don't need like any intersections, that unneeded ones, because that right there is this coming forward, and right now it's trying to touch something that's actually in the back, and our brain will do all kinds of weird stuff with that, trying to understand what is it that we're looking at. But this right here is the base of this building. So we got the base of this building right here, and I'm just going to color that in, shade it in to show that this right here. Now originally I was going to say, well, this is the bottom floor, but we're actually going to make the bottom floor down here, just to show you that this opens up more as we come down. So this would go, now this is the front corner, so that becomes very important with 2-point perspective, is tracking the front corner, because that's what's closest to us. Everything else is behind that. So this right here is my front corner. So that means I'm going to take this front corner, and it's going to go to the right. And I'm just going to bring it over till it slams into there. Bam! Okay, that's now the new corner. And then this is going to come over here. This side is going to come over here to the left. And we're going to bring that over to that, again, slams into there. Bam! Going, you know, all the way. If we want to, we take it all the way out, going to that left. But we only need it this far, because that's the bottom. And then we're going to take this and come over here like so. And this would then hit there, and then this would come over here. Like so. Okay, so this will be the ground floor or something. Again, this line is coming from the back touching the front. That doesn't help our brain, so we're going to erase that. We don't want to confuse ourselves any more than we possibly already are. So again, as this gets further from the eye line, this opens up. You're going to see more of that rectangle. Okay. Okay, so we got, again, more of this going. Again, seeing more of this. Now, if we did it right here, it'd be just this really, maybe we ought to do that, where we take, let's put one right here, just to show you how close to that, since it's so close to that horizon line, what would happen? This would go, again, this is going to go to the left. This is then going to go, to the right. Reverse that. I'm left-handed, so for some reason, all my life I've confused left and right. People go, well, I say, well, that's right. And they're like, well, that's your left. I'm like, well, no, it's right for me. I don't know what's wrong with you, but my left is right for me. So, anyways. All right. So we're going to come back here. And this goes back to there. So again, we're going to see how much this compresses in perspective as we're making this the next floor on this, say the third floor. Again, this is how thin that plane becomes. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller until this. If this was touching on the horizon line, you wouldn't be able to see it. It would just all be a straight line. That would be all four sides. But because the four sides are on the horizon line, we can't see front, back, top, right side, left side. It just all becomes a straight line. So you don't ever want to draw anything in touching that horizon line. But if we come up above it, which would be what we'd want to do, at least a little bit, well, now again, we're going to take this. This is going above me. With these, we're all seeing below. This is below my eye, so we're seeing, the top side of these guys, right? But now it's going to be above our eyes, so we're going to be seeing the bottom side. So we're going to take this down to the right, like so, down to the left, like so. This thing goes down to the right, like so. And this would go down to the left. And again, we're not going to be seeing a ton of the underside of this because it's so close to that horizon line. But as it rises up, we're going to see more and more and more of the underside of this plane. So this plane right here, because we see it's above the horizon line more than this one, so it's opening up. So we see more of this and we see of that because this is further from the horizon line. And the more that happens, we're going to see more. This again is the 4 points. And 2 of these sides are going to the right and 2 of these sides are going to the left. And that's 2-point perspective. We can then go, okay, let's go to do another one. No big deal. We're going to come over here. Now the center of vision is in play here, but it's not as important in 2-point. You can have something right in the center of vision, but because the object is turned, so with 2-point it means you've turned the object and you're seeing a bit of the corner. So it's not a big deal. When in 1-point the object is actually aligned, it's in alignment with the center of vision, so that's why it's a big deal. With this, it's actually turned, so it's not it doesn't affect it like it does in 1-point. So again, we're going to take this here to the right and left vanishing point. This goes to the box. It comes down here. It'll touches there. And it'll touches there. So this is opening up. Now these floors, of course, you'd never want to be on a building like this because these floors are like, if this is 8 feet and all of a sudden we're on a floor that's only got a 4-foot ceiling, that would not be fun. That would not be a good idea. But so I'm just trying to show these planes in perspective, not necessarily trying to make an even building. If we did, we'd want to make sure that each one of these increments was the same distance. That this distance here, if that's 8 feet, we'd want to make sure this is the same, all that good stuff. And you always do it on the front corner, or if you can't get to the front, well then you use the back corner with perspective. So again, all we're doing is we're doing the same, and again, this is the same plane. It's got the same dimension. Its width and depth are the same. We haven't really done much with the thickness, so. But it's the same. So, again, this is the underside. Of this particular plane. Okay, and so again, as we go further up, and again, we're seeing the underside of this. So this is the bottom, because this is above our heads. So we're seeing the bottom of this, as far as that goes. We'll do just one more. And I think we're pretty much Now again, because of center of vision, again, the ellipses would not do the same thing it does in 1 point. Again, because they'd be turned on a plane that's turning at an angle from the center of vision. So, and I don't want to make this sound like this is all center of vision talk. It does become very important in intermediate and some advanced perspective stuff that you're doing. For what we're doing right now, not so much. It doesn't. It's not. You're still going to have. What I'm saying is that if I have an ellipse touch the center line in 2 point perspective, it doesn't go flat because it's actually turned a little bit, so I'd actually see some of the dimension. So that's an important concept. Now, I've got this guy so low that he's actually going to overlap the floor above him because it continues to open up. So this continues to open up, and so this would be the corners of this plane. And on this plane we'd be seeing, you know, the front side, the front left, the front right, and in some cases, if this was just like some shelves from some sort of, you know, store where you, with just the little supports and you can actually see the entire shelf. So if this was, you know, some sort of shelves, well, then you'd see the back as well. But so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show the front left and the front right on all these. This would be the front left. This would be the front right, and it's because we're seeing it at a corner, so it's turned, and we're seeing the going away to the left and going away to the right. That's what 2 point perspective is. We're seeing the plane going to the right and left side. Okay, very, very, very simple idea of 1 and 2 point perspective. I mean, it's the basic things that's happening. So, seeing that there. That there. So 2 point perspective. A 2 point perspective, we have the horizon line. You have it going to a right vanishing point and a left vanishing point, and then you have a vertical line. So it's either going to the left, going to the right, or it's a vertical. Okay. Different than 1 point. 1 point was, you know, the lines meet at true 90 degrees. Okay, these are also supposed to be meeting at 90 degrees, but they're splayed open. Whereas in 1 point, it'd actually be 90 degrees. 2 lines meet at 90 degrees at a corner, and then 1 diagonal. This one has 2 diagonals, hence the word 2 point perspective. So with these 2 diagonals, they go to the right and left vanishing point. And so whenever you're drawing a box or a cube, it's, hey, what's going to the right, what's going to the left, and then the vertical. That's it. So everything conforms to that idea of perspective, right, left, or vertical. And we're talking in a minute about 3 point, worm's eye and bird's eye. So again, these would be the front. This would be the front left. Put front L there for left. This would be the front right, so put front and the letter R. And so if this was the front left, we'll just call this the corresponding back left. Back L. This is the corresponding plane. So this is the back right plane. And these 2 are going to the right, these 2 are going to the left, and that's the vertical. So this is 2 point perspective. Again, in a moment we're going to talk about 3 point. All right, be right back. All right, we are back. So what we're going to be doing this time is going to be talking about, we talked about 1 point perspective, so we talked about 2 point perspective, and now we're going to be talking about 3. There we go, 3 point perspective. Make sure I got enough fingers up there. 3 point perspective, and so it's a little different than 1 point, a little different than 2 point. We got 3 points now. With the 3 point perspective, we're going to be doing a little something that we like to call worm's eye. And worm's eye is just, everything is above your head because you're a little worm. But the idea is when you're below something looking up. So that's why they'll use that term worm's eye perspective. So with this, the eye is going to be close to the ground, so we'll use a low horizon line. So this is our horizon line. So we still have that horizon line here. And again, that represents where our eye is, or how far it is off the ground. So with this one, our eye is very close to right next to the ground, because we're imagining ourselves as everything being above our head, just like a little worm. So with the 3-point perspective, we have the center of vision starts to play a role in this. In fact, it plays a huge role in it. So we're going to have, again, this will be our center of vision. Center of vision. All right, so the center of vision. And the thing is that with worm's eye, our instead of having straight lines, these straight lines begin to not bend, pardon me, but they begin to converge at this distant vanishing point coming up here. So, and again, people refer to this as 3-point perspective. Now we're going to talk about this for a second, because 3 points is as many points as it can have, but it can also just use a 1-point perspective. So first we're going to define the vanishing points. Now, if this is the center of vision where it hits the horizon line, this would be a 1-point vanishing point. That's 1 point. That's a 1 point where the center of vision hits the horizon line. But we also can have and this is one thing that's important, is that you can have 2-point and 1-point in the same, and 3-point. We're not going to get quite that crazy, but so we've got a 1-point vanishing point, and then we're going to have a left VP, a left vanishing point, and a right vanishing point. Now don't think because I have these 3, that's the 3-point. That's not what 3-point refers to. It's just we're going to show you 3-point for a 1-point perspective box and 3-point for a 2-point perspective box, and they can both exist at the same time. For the 3-point, again, so these are sets, and so you can never have, whenever you're looking at a box, you either have it in 1-point or it's 2-point. It can't be both 1-point and 2-point. But if it's 3-point, whether it's 1-point or 2-point, again with 3-point we have a third vanishing point. And with this we're going to have all our verticals. The only vertical that would be straight would be the center of vision, and everything else, the rest of these verticals, are going to have an angle. So they're going to have another vanishing point. This far distant vanishing point above us is the 3rd point. Again, if you're doing the math, you're like, what about that? Well, that's because usually people will talk about right point, left point, 3rd point, but you can also be using this, and that there's not enough conversation about that. So that's why we're going to talk about 2-point, 3-point boxes and 1-point, 3-point boxes. Okay. And there's a difference. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we understand what the difference is. So again, these are our vertical lines going up towards this far distant vanishing point. Now I just arbitrarily marked this, but the more that this comes down, the more extreme these will spread out. And the higher up that goes, the more the softer they'll be. And so you can define that depending on whether you want something that's got a more distorted perspective or something that just has a very soft perspective where you have these straight lines just almost, they're being very, very gentle as they go towards that far distant 3rd vanishing point. But let's make a box. So all these are supposed to be, you know, above our head as far as that goes. And so if I had a box over here, we'll make this one a 2-point perspective. So let's make this a 2-point. So we're going to take the top and bottom of this box, and it's going to go to the right and left vanishing point, ignoring the 1-point vanishing point because this is 2-point. 2-point and 3-point perspective. So that would go down to the right. And these are just random. I'm using these as what are called guidelines to kind of to gauge how much lean there should be. This is going to go over here to the left vanishing point. So this is going to go over here down to the left. Okay. And I'm going to do one box. Sometimes you have people that just arbitrarily do like a box that sits here on the middle and then this side is leaning and that side's leaning. But it depends on where the box is. So if I made this, let's say this is my box. Okay, this should not, if this is this close, it shouldn't be truly straight. This is the only one that's truly straight, so this is going to have a bit of a lean. So I'm trying to see what's, you know, so I can put that here. You know, this is where I want this to start. It's getting smaller as it goes up. And so this would, again, be, these are my corners for this 2-point perspective box in 3-point perspective. So some people will call this a 2-point, 3-point. So these are all my sides, and then again, this is the bottom, so it goes to the left vanishing point over here. I'm not going to do all 4 sides like we can see through this one. We'll just go ahead and make, you know, I'm not going to show it like it's made out of glass. I mean, I could, I guess, but okay. So this right here are the 4 corners, like so. So again, this is a box, 2-point perspective, in a 3-point perspective world. So again, worm's eye. And all that means is, again, my verticals are leaning away. They're getting further and further away from, they lean more and more the further they get from the center line. Again, I said the center line becomes more important as we get into perspective, and this is one of those times. Okay. Clean this up a little bit. Clean this up a little bit. Okay. So this is 3-point perspective. Imposed upon a 2-point perspective box. And this just means we'd be looking up. If we're in the streets of a city looking up the buildings, then we're looking at in a worm's eye view, and they're going to be these verticals are going to begin to converge towards a top vanishing point. So this is, we're seeing the bottom of this box. We're seeing the, you know, the right side and the left side. Again, so this is a 2-point and 3-point, or, you know, 2-point, 3-point, but a 2-point perspective box and 3-point perspective in worm's eye view. Over here, we're going to do a 1-point perspective box. Now, as this gets further out, things get more and more radical. So let's say we started with our 1-point. Now, 1-point, we have to keep this in mind, that our verticals, we have either vertical lines, we have horizontal lines, and then we have the diagonal. Well, with 1-point, 3-point, we have, again, we're going to have a box where these are my verticals. My verticals are no longer straight. My verticals are going up to that far distant vanishing point. Didn't use my vanishing point very well, did I? Let's try it again. Okay. So those are my verticals, and I said, well, and we have true horizontals. So we're going to say, all right, true horizontal line. So this is going to be a 1-point perspective box and a 3-point perspective scenario. So there's my truly horizontal line. Here's my truly horizontal line. Okay. And then the corners of it are going to go down here to the 1 point vanishing point. So this right here is, again, 3 point. Now, a lot of people, you know, will get very comfortable with 3 point. They just kind of play with it and have fun with it. We're trying to be a little bit more formal than that. But you certainly can. It depends on your type. Like I'm the type of person that I can't use anything unless I understand what the heck I'm doing. And then I can be creative with it. Once I get the concept, then I can be creative with it and play with the concept. If I don't understand the concept, I can't play with it at all. It escapes me. It eludes me, and it doesn't work. You know, it's and so what we're trying to do is we try to get it to be just to work with the concept until it's so familiar that you just do it. You know, you can play with it. And that is usually when that's more powerful to me. So this should be top, bottom, this back line. Again, this is either a diagonal or a vertical. We've already got the diagonal. We've already got the vertical. The last thing left is a true horizontal. So it would come from that corner until it hits here. It slams into there. And these are the back corners of this box. Hopefully you can see the difference between this 2 point, 3 point, and this 1 point, 3 point. Or in other words, a 1 point perspective box and a 3 point perspective round. There we go, right there. Okay, so again, this is the underside of that box. So this is 1 point perspective box in a 3 point world. Okay. And all that means, put a 3 point world, all that means is that all that's happening with this 3 point box is that instead of these being straight, they're still going to that 1 point vanishing point, but instead of them being straight, then the lines are now going to this far distant vanishing point. And that's perspective. Let's do this as a building. Let's say we had a little building over here, because these are just floating in the air. It always looks kind of weird when you do it like this. So if I was doing a building, we go, all right, well, this is, let's say we do a thin one. This is a building here. Let's make this one 1 point. So let's make this in 1 point perspective. So if that's the case, this would be a straight line here. This would be the front plane. Okay. Then this is going to go down to the 1 point vanishing point, like so. And let's say this is the back corner. And then this is going to go up to that distant vanishing point. And again, this is just a 1 point perspective box in 3 point perspective. Okay, there we go. All right, so this would be sort of this building poking in here into my scene, getting smaller as it goes away from me because it's in worm's eye view, which means it's going to diminish as it goes further and further and further away from me. So this is my building in a 1 point, 3 point scenario. Okay, so this is the side. We can't see the top, but if we could, this would come over straight. This would then come down to the vanishing point. And this would be that distant corner that we could not see. So this would be, you know, a broken line. This would be a broken line. This is just for an architectural, this is a rendering notation saying, hey, there's a wall there, there's a back wall there that exists, but I can't see it. There's times in perspective, this is just to understand the concept, but there's times when you're drawing where you'd make all the lines, you wouldn't break the line because that can be bad for, you know, when you're doing some really advanced sort of stuff. But in the beginning, it helps sort of be able to visualize this. Again, this would be that top that we can't see of that building. And then this is the right side of the building right here. Right? And this is the front. And who knows, maybe there's some windows that are coming up this building. You know, so if you had little windows are going to be getting smaller as they go up the building as well. Like so. And then any of the, well, that's kind of wide. Yeah, I think I'll change this one. But then for any of the floors, again, this is too wide, that's too short. So again, we'd have to do some magic here, where we're going to do a little bit of, make this a little wider, maybe to, you know, to there or something. But so let's say this was in the tops of these windows. Well, then the windows, these tops, these floors, would all be, these would be straight lines. So you'd be like, okay, here's that distant floor there, and we've got like another floor here. You know, I don't know what the space, maybe this is the space in between the floors, and then we've got some more window, and this window would just, if this is this window, it'd be stretching as this window would be coming down, and the floor between them would be stretching because the foreshortening as you came down. So you'd start to get something happening. So let's just say again, these were these windows or whatever. And I made them wider instead of doing little tiny things that you can't hardly see. That's not going to help anybody. But again, these windows would be getting smaller and smaller and smaller as they went up, and they'd be getting bigger and bigger and bigger as they came down. These windows would stretch more and more as they came down here. We'll just go ahead and fill this in, I guess. So this same stuff would be going on as it came down. And this same stuff would be going on down here as they came down. Notice the lines are wider at the bottom, getting smaller as they come up and go away from us. And again, this is a building that's stretching above our head, and getting taller and taller and taller. What if we had a building behind it that was set at a 45-degree angle? That would be kind of weird, but let's do that. Let's do a building that's in a 2-point 3-point. So we go, okay, and let's have, let's say, say it's a really wide building too. So let's say this is the width of the building, and this building's taller. This building here is going to be taller than this one. So let's say this is going to be the height, and we're going to have this go down to the right vanishing point over here. Versus this going down here to the left vanishing point. Again, you wouldn't normally see something like this. I mean, there might be a city where you would have like a big building set on a 45, but it's unusual most of the time. Not that it doesn't happen, but it's just unusual. It could certainly look strange if they're the only two buildings sitting there. If I had this surrounded by 1-point perspective buildings, no problem. But on this one, we got a 2-point perspective box and 3-point perspective. So this is coming down. And this is supposed to be the middle, right? And then this is going to the right vanishing point, it's going to the left vanishing point, not going to the 1-point because this is a 2-point perspective box. And so we're seeing both the right and left side. Of course, we're seeing the front and the right side, but this we're seeing the right and left side going to these vanishing points. This would be going down here, like so, and this one would be going down here like so, right? And then if we've got windows going to either side, well then those windows, let's say I just go ahead and maybe it starts there, and then we're going to have these windows getting a little wider each and every time. I guess we could exaggerate this a little bit. That's called forced perspective, where you're forcing the illusion. And comic book artists will do this a lot. Some will do it more than others. It's a style choice. But again, if I had, maybe we went ahead and did where we're going to do, some spacing in between each window. Okay. So maybe we'd have, you know, on this side we'd have all these windows, and so we'd go ahead and have these windows coming down this side of it. Nailing right in front of our guideline, which isn't helping. And then we're going to come here, and we're going to go there. We're going to come here, and we're going to go there, and we're going to go here. So then we're going to say, all right, well, this was one set of windows, that's the other set of windows, another set of windows, and that didn't work out right because I didn't plan this out right, but oh well. Too bad. That's okay. But planning, very, very important for this, as you can imagine. As you can just see what just happened. Again, if this is the side with the windows, then we got this right here. Again, all this lovely value in here for the. This is just to keep in mind what's going on here, because it's very easy to get lost in all this. If you start adding details like this, it can be very easy to get very lost in all this stuff. So this is this one right here, and then that one skips, and there's this one right here. Okay, so so that's that. Okay, and you say, and now we're going to have the vertical lines, and again, the vertical lines. This is on the right side of this building, because this is our building right here, right? Correct. Right? No, right? Yeah, right, huh? But anyway, so this is going down to the right, and then these lines would also, again, if these are these vertical lines of these windows, these are also going to go down and to the right, because again, this is a 2-point perspective box and 3-point perspective, and so we're going to get this sort of thing where, again, where the windows, these are on the right side going down to this distant vanishing point. Goes there. This goes here. Goes there. This goes there. So again, this would be, you know, these windows, and this is actually starting to feel like you're looking up at something, and that's the whole idea of the 3-point perspective. And again, you could do windows on this side, and the windows on this side would be going down to the left vanishing point, right? Is where they would be going. So that's what we'd be looking for. I keep saying right. Imagine, you're like, no wonder he's always confused. You know, right, left, right, oh, what? But so these are going to be going down to the left as well, because they're on the left side. So any of the alignments of these windows are going to be going down to the left vanishing point, like so, so forth and so on. All this good stuff. So we got this, and we got that, and all that good stuff. And it's gonna, again, they're gonna get smaller as they go further away from me, and then the windows are gonna open up as they get closer to me. Now I just went ahead and did this by eye. Did it, you know, just by guesstimation, if you might say. These are gonna be open. These are probably opening up a little bit too much too quickly, but that's okay. Again, I could say, you know, if I was trying to keep something simple, more stylized, well, then that's all I need. If I was trying to do something a little more realistic, well, then I might have to reevaluate. There's ways of doing that we're not going to get into right now. We just don't have, that's not what this is about. Again, I could go ahead and put my windows and my spacings, and these are going to go up to that third vanishing point. And so that's different. With these windows, all these lines are straight lines. Whereas the verticals are going to the vanishing point, these are straight. And again, as we came down, these would have been getting, I'm going to quit doing this, the spacing between them, real quick, or maybe I'm not. But these would be truly straight lines. Again, as we start to come down this, again, these windows are going to be getting stretching taller. That's better. Taller and taller because of perspective. So again, as that happens, it's going to look more and more and more like, there's going to start to go, oh yeah, okay, I see the diminishment. I see the things getting smaller, therefore it makes our eye go, oh, I've seen that. Whether we're aware of it or not, I've seen that. And so it's going to look more like perspective. We can also get rid of this line that is not helping. That was a line that didn't quite work the first time. So again, with this one, these are getting, again, bigger as well, but these are 1 point. So it's either a straight line, these are straight, the verticals are going there, and then we have the diagonal would be going to the vanishing point over here. So if we had windows on the side, if we brought this over and this is that window, and brought this straight over and that's that window, and brought this straight over and that's that window, bring that straight over, we could mark these out. You always do it on the corner that you're going to use it for. So these are either going vertically or straight, or they're going to the diagonal. So again, if this was these windows on this side, this is going to go over here, this is going to go over here, and this is going to go over here. Now this looks really cartoony when we first start this, because there's just not enough information yet. But as you start piling on more and more information, it'll start making more and more and more sense, and it'll start to look more and more and more real. Some people would say, well, that, the details, as people might say. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, the details, the information is really going to help. Again, as we were doing this, whatever. Maybe these are the windows right here, and again, these would be verticals going up to that vertical vanishing point, so forth and so on. But so we've got these, again, these buildings where this would be a straight line, this would be a diagonal, this would be a straight line, that'd be a diagonal, straight line, diagonal, so forth and so on. So we've got a 1 point perspective box with 3 point perspective, or a 1 point, 3 point, 1 point perspective box in a 3 point perspective world. And then this is, of course, a 2 point perspective box in a 3 point perspective world. So 1 point, 3 point, 2 point, 3 point. So keep that clear as you're drawing. It'll help you out immensely. This has been Kevin McCain with Kevin McCain Studios and Idaho Art Classes. Y'all take care now. Be more creative. Bye-bye. All right, we are back. So now we're actually going to deal with 3 point perspective and what we call bird's eye. So with a bird's eye view, we're going to be like we're an eagle flying above, looking down on everything. So if you're like on a tall building looking downward, you're going to have a bird's eye perspective view of things. So with bird's eye view, we're going to have a higher horizon line. So this is still my horizon line. But now we've got a horizon line where, let's say I'm on top of a 40-story building looking down on the buildings below. So we have the horizon line here. Again, we're dealing with 3 point. So this is bird's eye for 3 point perspective. And again, that 3 point perspective, we're still using the horizon line. And then we're also going to be using the center of vision. And again, the center of vision is where the third vanishing point will rest. That's why it's so important to have the center of vision. So this is our center of vision. Center of vision, right there. So we've got our center of vision. We're still going to have where this crosses, the center of vision crosses the horizon line, where these two cross, that is our vanishing point. And it's a 1 point vanishing point. So we'll put 1 PT VP for a 1 point vanishing point. Again, we're going to deal with the a 1 point, 3 point, And we're going to deal with a right and, or 2-point, 3-point, where we have a right and left vanishing point. So let's go ahead and put the, let's see if I can extend this horizon line a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to put a left vanishing point over here. So this is our left vanishing point right there. Left VP. Left VP stands for vanishing point, VP. Not the left, of course, that just means left. So we're gonna have the right vanishing point over here. All right, we'll do that one. So we're gonna go ahead and put right vanishing point. All right. So this is our right vanishing point. This is our left. Missed the point there. Let's go ahead and. Now, usually I wouldn't put a big old dot there because that obscures the line, but this is just to make sure you understand what we're doing here. Now, with this one, we're going to have, again, we're going to have this far distant vanishing point that'll be this is our, we could put now, some people will go ahead and call this the vertical vanishing point, which is what it is. That's with 3-point perspective. The verticals all have their own vanishing point. So vertical vanishing point, which we didn't talk. I mean, we talked about the vanishing point on the worm's eye view, but we didn't call it the vanishing point just yet. It's a vertical vanishing point. And with this, we're going to use again some guidelines, diminishment guidelines. So these are going to be our verticals, and as these verticals are going to splay out as they get further and further away, they're going to lean, and the lean is going to be more and more and more outrageous. Outrageous is not the word, but they're going to lean more the further they get away from the center of vision. So these are going to continue to lean further and further this direction. Come on, lean a little bit more. Okay, so again, these aren't equal distant. These are just, again, guidelines for when we're drawing to let us see how far should our vertical lean, right? Now, the vanishing point for the bird's eye and the worm's eye many times are, most times, I mean, it's very rare that the 3-point perspective is actually in the picture view. It's almost always outside the view of the scope of the picture. And that's important because part of this, again, is to be able to visualize, and sometimes it can be hard to visualize this setup. But most times, if we were doing this, again, everything's going down this far distant vanishing point. Again, these things will be leaning further and further and further. Now we haven't. Oh, I moved my. We'll just leave that. But that what happens when you move your straight edge. You get a little bend in the line. So as we get further and further and further away, yeah, it's coming down to this far distant vanishing point. Again, these are what we call diminishment guides. This is just to give us an idea of where that vertical should be if it's coming down to this vanishing point. But like I said, with this sort of setup, the vanishing points, including these many times, are going to be outside of our picture. So let's say this right here. Let's draw our picture. So let's see. So this will be my picture right here, the picture plane, and so this right here. This is how much we see. So everything else. We haven't talked about what's called a cone of vision. With a cone of vision, you're actually describing how much of this image can I actually see. And then many times, we're actually going to be cropping in even further on that center of vision. In other words, I said center of vision. I used the wrong term. A lot of times we're cropping in on what we call the cone. So the cone might be this big, but we might be only using a small section of the cone of vision. And the cone of vision is kind of like when you look through a camera, you got that round circle. And that's what we have when we're looking through our eyes. We have, again, a sort of that, as it goes further from us, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's called the cone of vision. We're not going to get into that a huge deal today, but just understand that, you know, again, that cone, we can only see so much without turning our head. And depending on how close the object is. If something's really close, 6 inches from our face, we can't see much more than that object 6 inches from our face. But if we're 60 feet from something, we can see the object and all kinds of stuff around it. So again, this right here will be the picture plane. The picture plane for our image. And again, we're going to be on a building. And you know, this is going to be these buildings that we're looking at the tops of, and they're going down and away from us. So let's start with a 1-point perspective building, and maybe we do a couple of them. We'll do a couple of the 1-point perspectives over here, maybe some 2-point perspectives over here. Maybe we'll do a little bit of both. But if we have a 1-point perspective building, it's going to go ahead and let's describe the front of it, or in other words, the front edge. So let's say this is the front edge of this building right here. Okay, that's the front edge, and I'll just go ahead and connect it to these guides. I don't have to connect it. I could have stopped it here, and then you just try to make sure that the angle is somewhere between that angle here and that angle there. But for ease, we'll just go ahead and connect that to there. So then we'll say, all right, well, this right here is then going to be, it's going to be a 1.3 point. So again, it's going to go to the 1-point perspective vanishing point, like so. All right. And then we're going to decide where this stops. And again, with this, we'd be seeing the top of this building. So, you know, we could go, well, let's see, there's going to be a ledge along the building, and we could go ahead and do that, what have you. We'd say, all right, this is the top of that building, and the top of that building is going to go into the vanishing point, the 1-point vanishing point. Okay. So again, this would be going to the 1-point vanishing point, like so. All right. And again, if this is the side of the building, this corner, we're going to see the corner drop down a little bit. You know, this would then try to split these two angles. So we go down. Couldn't see this side, but we would then go, okay, well, this would then be the, you know, that this would be, you know, this would be the top of the building going down, as this is the sort of the edge going all the way around the building. So it's not just some flat top. That would be dangerous. Wouldn't want that. Okay. This would go here. So this again would be the top of this building. What have you. Like so. So again, this would be the side of the building coming down, right? The side of this building coming down, right? And then this would be this right over here. Okay, so this right here, and then we'd say, all right, and this would be the sides of this building coming down. Go ahead and darken that. This side of this building going here. Who knows, maybe there's like a little water tower over here. So you'd say, well, if this is a water tower and it's let's say this is where this is touching. And again, if it's a water tower, it's going to touch here, and let's say we did the footprint for the feet. You know, so there's going to be a base to the water tower, so it's going to have a footprint. This would be where the legs would touch, which means if we took the legs, and if there were 4 of them, of course there was 3 of them, it'd be triangular, but if it was 4 of them, they're going to have, you know, this rectangle. And then from there, they're going to come up. So they're going to, if these were the feet of this thing, well, we take the 4 little points, so we come up from the, come up from this, our vertical vanishing point is coming down, way down here, because this is getting bigger, because our eye's up here. So this is our eye, and this is the verticals where they're diminishing until they disappear. This would be if this stood straight up. This would go, and this would be standing. These legs don't have an angle. I mean, they look angled, but this means that these are truly vertical. They don't have an angle. So again, if this was, again, let's say this was the base of this. Base of that water tower. And let's say that water tower comes up. So this water tower is going to be getting wider as it comes off of there. So let's say this is the top of that water tower, or what have you. And then maybe this, water tower, has a roof line. Now it's almost in line with this vertical right here. So maybe it's one of those ones that has, like the little, looks like a little cone with a roof on it. We could certainly do that and put the little roof line on here. And then this would be the little sort of an antenna saying, hey, to all the helicopters, don't run into this. This is a water tower. So again, you go ahead and put that on there. Pretty dang big. You could put other things on here like a water, like a water cooler, an air conditioning unit and stuff like that. A lot of times you'll have stuff like that on a building like this, where you go, okay, where's the cooling unit? And again, we'd say, well, where's the footprint? And we could just start to put the footprint in here. Now I could go ahead and just, if I was planning something, I could sketch something first and then go ahead and just to give me a guide. So I can go, okay, well then this would be the front right here. This would be, or pardon me, the back. This would then be the front, right? How wide is the front? Let's say that's the width, and then it's going to go back again to that vanishing point to make the foot. Like so. And buildings are just boxes. So this, you can see, well, all I'm doing is I'm doing boxes. I turned, this box into kind of a cone, or a cylinder that's in 3-point perspective as far as that goes. Who knows, maybe there's a little ladder, that we could see over here, a little ladder coming off of there, going up onto the water tower. Like so. We then again, how tall is this, is this unit? Let's say the unit comes up and the unit is trying to use this, that it's supposed to be between these two angles, this angle and that angle. So I'm trying to see that. Okay. Let's bring this up. We bring all the corners up. Bring that up. Whoops, missed it. Bring that up. This needs to be between these two angles, so I'm trying to make sure my so again, I need to decide, hey, how far up does this come? Maybe it comes up this far. So we go, all right, well, this is now going to be the height. So if this is now, again, the height of that guy, again, we can take it back to the vanishing point. And again, we've got this 1-point perspective unit that we could then turn in. Right now it just looks like a box. We could turn that box into something that looks like it is an air conditioning unit. Put some slats in there, put some vents, things like that, round it off, that sort of stuff. Maybe there's a couple pipes over here. Maybe this is where they get onto the roof. you know, what have you. Now there's kind of a tangency between this guy and this unit, so I'd want to deal with that. Either want to pull this over or you know, shorten it up so it doesn't run into there. So that would certainly be something to decide right about now, because that looks terrible. Don't want that tangency. So again, maybe we'd go ahead and go, you know what, this is no longer a vent unit. This is, again, I'm looking for these two angles. This is now going to be, you know, let's say this is, again, one of these little stairways that then has a little door that you can get onto the top of the roof with. You'd say, all right, well, this right, and where's my door? Now, I've got the back of the footprint, but this would be the time to get rid of that, because we wouldn't want to, you know, want to confuse things too much. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. And we could put the little door on here. Okay. So again, this would be the little door. And this would be, again, we'd have this would be the front side right here. This would be the side right there. And this would be the top. I don't know, maybe these are, I think these are an angle sometimes, so I could put this I could lift this roof up by going, hey, there's an angle here and an angle, you know, corresponding angle there, and turn that into a diagonal. You could also have, hey, there's some, you know, whatever, some antenna up on the top of this roof. I don't know, maybe they're back here. And we've got, again, some of these antenna coming off the roof. Whatever. Again, we got another antenna up here. You know, whatever. Maybe there's a, you know, maybe these are actually part of little, you know, little towers or what have you, or there's little wires that are holding them and anchoring them to the rooftop or what. But again, we have our little roof, or we have our little building getting smaller as it comes down to this far distant vanishing point. Let's say we had one further back. We still want to do 1 point, but we want it further back. Or maybe there's a bigger building here. We could do that too, where this building is taller. So maybe it's just a really big one, where again we're seeing just a lot more of this building. And so let's say this is the side of this building here. And that's coming up. And then this is the front, so the front stays truly straight. Okay. So again, this is in this building. This is over here. This is the back of the building. And again, this building here would be right there. And this building here would be, you know, again, this is the edge, again, that we could see going around and all this good stuff. Whoops, that's too thick. Like so. Okay, and again, we could see into here, so we'd be able to see, you know, a little bit. We couldn't see this corner, but we could see the thickness coming out where we can, you know, view it. So maybe this is it right here. Again, I mark it just so I can kind of keep track of that. You know, well, again, we couldn't see this one over here. It'd actually be invisible. If we had one of those checkered lines, we'd have something, you know, right, you know, some sort of checkered line like this, showing that it's there, but we can't see it because it's over here and then down, right? So anyways, we've got this right here is the side of that. It's a little taller than this one, a little bigger than this one too. So that's, again, we're looking down on this so we can see the top roof, and it's going down out of our view. And let's do another one maybe over here that maybe he's a little shorter. So let's say, maybe he's a little wider too, but let's say he starts off as a shorter building. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and sketch this in really quick just to give myself an idea of what's going on here. So he's shorter, so he's going to be down here, but he's also wider. But maybe we're seeing just a little bit of this coming in. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean he's wider then. I don't like that. Maybe we'll move it over here. No, I don't like that either. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do maybe this. That will, because I don't want it to be like the same. So I'll do this one here, and then that one, you know, bending out maybe right there. Okay, so that gives me at least a guide. And maybe there's a space between these two buildings. So maybe this is here, and then this is going there. Yeah, I like that. Just that little bit I think is going to at least define that. Again, this would be going up to the vanishing point there. Right there, this would be going down to the vanishing point here. Again, that was just a sketch just to kind of place it. And now we can actually get this set up. And so now we've got, again, another building that's, again, a 1-point perspective building and 3-point perspective in our bird's eye view looking down on it. And so, again, we'd say, all right, well, we can see a little bit of and maybe, let's see, we're gonna, maybe this got a little crazy here, so we're maybe this edge is a little less, so we'll go ahead and make it a little thinner. Again, I've got a tangency that's going to happen right there, which means I probably would have bring this building up or drop that building down. But again, we're going to go ahead and, let's see, this goes up to the vanishing point like so. This then comes up a little bit like so. Maybe I could even build this. So I have to build this one up a little bit or something, but let's at least go ahead and define the edge, because that way it doesn't feel like it's getting lost. This then is coming here, and again we're seeing the top of this building. So these are all 1.3 point. Now again, if I wanted to, I could go say, all right, well that's great. Well, let's do a 1.2 point, or pardon me, a 1.2 point, not a 1.2 point because that doesn't exist, but a 2.3 point that does exist. Okay. This would be coming over here. I could see that. I barely be able to see this. This would be just, you know, I can't actually see that. That would be down. Yeah, couldn't see it. So I can only see the back of this wall and this sort of thing. This would come forward, and it would actually be here. So that means I can't see it. So that's all we'd see of this back. Again, at the top of that building. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a 2.3 right here. So we're going to say, all right, well, where should this building be? And maybe the building will be, again, right here. And again, this is going to be this building. Maybe this building is so big and massive that it goes outside of this. So maybe this is the side of the building. Well, maybe this is, there we go, that's a little better. Again, we don't want something to touch right on that line. That's called a tangency. That is unwanted. Never, 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 never. But maybe this is, again, the big one. And all we can actually see of this one is going to be sort of the windows going right and left. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and bring that into here. And I'm going to say, all right, and we're going to have these windows. Again, they're going to be getting smaller as they go down, because that's in more perspective as it goes down. And so we're going to take these divisions right here, and we're going to make them smaller, a little bit smaller every time we go down a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take that, we're going to take this one, we're going to take this one, we're going to take that one, and we're going to go down, 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 down. And again, we're going to go ahead and take this to the right and left vanishing points, because these again would be these. We're not taking them down, we're actually taking them up, I should say. So these are going to be the right and left vanishing point. This is basically just going to the left because it's on the left side. This goes here. This is supposed to be should be getting bigger as we come closer to me. Getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like so. And then these are some windows or something of the different floors. Some contemporary building. Again, getting further and further and further away. And the same thing would be going on with these guys. This would be going ahead and getting, again, smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes down. Like so. So again, these floors are getting further away, and they're lifting up because we're seeing down on this thing, so they're going up to that far distant vanishing point. And this is some sort of big office building next to these smaller buildings. Who knows? But so we're going to go ahead and take this again. And this would go to, these are on the right plane, so these are going to go to the right vanishing point. So this is going to go ahead and go up there. So we'll go ahead and start drawing these things. Again, they're going to be getting smaller as they go further away from us. Further down, because that's going more and more in perspective, where they're diminishing, so we're getting foreshortening happening. These are getting smaller and smaller as the plane goes. This plane travels further and further and further away from my sight. So this again is a 2 point, 3 points. That's what's happening with this one. 2 point perspective box and 3 point perspective. So this is a 1.3 point, 1.3 point, 1.3 point, and then 2.3 point. And again, if we had, who knows, let's say we had a smaller one back here, then again we could see, yeah, this would be something like this. Let's say this one's further down, and he's again going, this is going to be the corner. Maybe the corner here, so again it doesn't slam into there. Don't want a tangency, so move that over. Take that there, that's the corner. So this is going to go up and to the right. Make sure we don't, okay, good. So up and to the right. So we're going to go ahead and bring this down. So this is now the corner, right there. This thing goes up and to the left. Okay. Again, you never have a seat like this where you'd have like one side of these buildings are 45s and these are all straight in line. Thank goodness you wouldn't have a city like this. It would be bizarre. It look bizarre too. Again, it's very unusual to have, you know, some building and with 1 point and 2 point right next to it, unless it's on a 45. And again, if it's on a 45, it's only going to be one little building in every so often. It's not going to be a whole big row of them. That would again be kind of strange. But again, this is now going to that far distant vanishing point, way over here, and you know, again, if we had any, this would be the top. Again, if we saw the top here, we'd then have probably a ledge that we could see, so that it's not just flat on top. That would be a little silly. So again, you'd have people probably falling off of there if that was the case. So again, you're going to see a little bit. Now this should be a little smaller, but all right. So this is going to be going over here as far as that goes. This is that ridge, the edge. This one needs to go. This is too thick. This is thinner. That's thicker. That means that's denying what perspective does. Things get smaller as they go away. So we had to make that not right. And then we'd see, you know, a little bit of the side of this thing. So this would, a little bit of that side would be going off into the distant left vanishing point, going that away. As far as that goes, you know, we wouldn't see this one. We couldn't see, you know, that one. We'd only see the second one if we could see the back corner of this, but we can't see the back corner. So again, this right here, back of that, like so. This is then, you know, again, this is the side of the roof coming down, and this is the roof, and then this is the ledge. So again, this right here is coming down, like so. And then this is coming over here, and it's, you're going to be doing stuff like that. You know, it's, you know, that's what's happening there. And again, if we had windows on here, you know, again, we could space them. They'd be getting smaller as they went down, so forth and so on. Again, these windows here, this is a 1.3 point, so that means these would be going to the 1 point vanishing point. So again, these windows or floors, again, you need to really see them getting smaller and diminishing as they get further away from us, going back to that far corner. Okay, So again, they'd be going to that 1 point vanishing point because this is a 1 point perspective box. Now I'm really in front of those dots a lot in case you're seeing that like what's going on. I've got a really dull pencil. So I have to kind of compensate for how dull the pencil is as I'm trying to draw these lines. And so that's what's going on with this. Okay. But again, these would be getting smaller as they go down, so forth and so on. So this is, and again, if this had windows on it and floors, these are going away from me deep into space, whereas these would be just straight lines. You'd be like, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and you know, this will be, you know, maybe that's one floor, and then that's the next floor, and these would be getting smaller and smaller. But they'd be just truly straight, as these ones right here, because they're not going away from me. These are going away, these are not. So this is, again, kind of a clumsy little city because we've tried to combine some stuff that wouldn't work. We got 1.3 point with the buildings behind it and 1.2 point. But I just wanted to show you the idea again of this is in bird's eye view. So we have this far distant vanishing point. Not always far. If it was really extreme, it would be closer. And the closer it is, rarely is this vanishing point ever in your scene. It's always outside. And a lot of times, so is your right and left vanishing point. Now, if I was doing 1 point, of course, that might be in the scene or not. Just depends. But again, so we've got this, again, this perspective view of this city. Not a great city, but it does show, hey, this is how this stuff works. We've got it going to this vanishing point down here. We've got to a left vanishing point, right vanishing point, or a 1 point vanishing point, depending on whether it's 1.3 point or 2 point. 2.3 point, which is that's what this is. And again, we're looking on the tops of these buildings, and they're getting smaller as they come down, and that's the 3 point perspective view. All right, so you guys enjoy this. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but these are the basics of perspective. You got 1 point perspective, you got 2 point perspective, and then you got 3 point. And with 3 point, you either have a worm's eye view where you're looking up at stuff, or a bird's eye view where you're looking down at stuff. And so hopefully that will help you with some of your perspective ideas. You guys take care. Be more creative. Bye-bye now.